Hey guys and girls, welcome to Forgetting Walls, the podcast. This is episode 22. Editing on a Sunday afternoon as usual, getting things going. Justin's back with us this week, and we invite and welcome Aaron Phelps, Robbie Boland, and Miles Coster. It's a great show. We talk about college, Christian colleges, liberal art college, the experience, what it's like. Got some good conversation. Today we're just talking as friends, had some guys and girls on that mean a lot to me, and it was just good conversation. Had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. We reminisced because Scholar moved away from us. That really tears up my heart still, but he may be in a different state, but he's not off the show. So look forward to seeing him again. But like I said, this week we just have a lot of fun talking about, some of our past experiences, stuff that's going on, what's happening in the future. And Justin's Juicy Bits this week breaks me. So if you've never seen me broken on the show and completely losing it, just wait till the end of the show this week. I think you'll see what we mean. But anyways, let's get started and let's drop that dubstep. And that means Justin is back. His week of vacation is over.
Me. Don't you lie.
I've missed you the past 2 weeks.
His week of vacation is over. His week of vacation is over.
Yep.
And he is back. Yes. So, welcome everybody. Forgetting Walls, the podcast. And we're on episode 22, which is
That's right.
It's crazy, man. 22 episodes. And this evening, I am your stressed, overworked, big boy host, Keith Wilson.
I feel like that's the story every week.
Isn't it? Gosh, it is. And back from Florida from his Calvinist conference. All the way from his... Is the apartment empty?
No, there's still one roommate left.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he's pretty chill. He just lives downstairs and he's pretty quiet. So,
Justin Davis, people.
woo!
And joining us tonight, we'll start with a returning guest, the Bear.
Yeah, the
Junior.
Onions.
The Onions, yes, because he makes everyone cry. Robbie Boland.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
And we have two new guests who's never been on a show with us, which is going to be interesting. I almost wanted to get them on separately, like one at a time, because one podcast is not enough. But anyways, from just down the street, missing the fro, Miles Coster.
Hello, hello.
We're going to have to teach him how to sit up at the mic and talk, but it's okay.
Yep.
And our third female guest, Aaron Phelps.
Hey.
Everyone.
Hey, there we go. The point of the podcast is to talk. I know you're not shy.
High energy. Let's
I know
do
you're
it.
not shy to talk.
High energy.
High energy. And Robbie and Miles just got closer.
We're getting more energy.
Maybe we need to push the mic closer to Aaron, and so we can get some good quality on that talk.
Robbie and I can just share
You've
this
been
one.
meaning to come on the podcast for a long time.
Yeah.
Quite a
I remember it was around like episode 5 when
Yeah.
I think it was just about being on the podcast.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
our schedules just never kind of worked out, but we're super glad to have you on this podcast.
Absolutely. Aaron's on the podcast with us. And speaking of all that, all you are college kids.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's a college kid tonight. Everybody's a college
Not
kid.
for much longer.
No, not for much longer.
So sad.
When are you done, Aaron?
Next year.
Next year? Spring?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got a full 2 semesters left?
Yep.
Okay. Y'all two are about the same, right?
I got
Another
I
semester.
think I have 28 hours left. So that's 2 semesters.
Oh, okay.
About 2.5 semesters. Can you finish it in 2 semesters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 14 hours a semester. That's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin, just because you can do like 29,000 in a semester doesn't mean...
I only did 26 in one semester, and that was
Only
freshman year. I'm
26.
never doing that again.
Oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, I thought I was smart.
I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I only got like
Well,
28
he's
hours
so.
left. And he goes, I did 29 in one semester. I don't see why you can't do it in one semester.
You
I was
know,
like, Dad, get out of here.
The problem with Justin is...
Bueller. Getting
like
out
a
I'm
of
not
Really?
letting it bother me. It's done. So, you did it on the last podcast that I wasn't here, so
Yeah.
it's done.
Well, it's in memory, man. Come on now. Give me a little credit. Woo. And
All right.
I love the fact that so throughout the podcast tonight, we're going to refer back to the people who are watching us live and kind of hit some of their comments, because that's going to change the podcast up a little bit. You know, and I can edit this stuff out if I need to, but I guess a friend of yours, Annie.
Yeah, that's Jessica's sister.
That's Jessica's sister. That's great. You're not a creeper, and I love the fact that she's like, hi, Miles, and other random guys.
Yeah. She knows him.
Yeah, I know everyone.
All right. So, anyways, everybody's back from school. The cool thing is I want to talk about. All right, so y'all are in from college. Miles, you're actually working a job right now.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie's not.
Hey, I just talked to I ran into the lady that owns the aisles
Yeah.
at Food Line, and I was like, hey, I texted you like a month and a half ago about working there again. And I was like, so what's up with that? And she was just like, oh, just come in, and we'll get you a schedule worked up and everything. And I was like, well, I'm going to work at Boy Scout summer camp in a couple weeks. And she's like, that's fine. We'll just get you when you can work.
Oh man, come on.
So, working back in the
Super
aisles.
sweet.
I can't even get one of my kids a job, no matter what he does. Like, he goes everywhere and can't get a job anywhere. And it's like, man, I just text. And Aaron, are you working right now? You just got back today, right?
I got back Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Wait, what's today? Wednesday. Yeah, I got back Monday.
Monday. Okay.
And so next Thursday, I'll be going to Myrtle Beach for Summer Beach Project, which is like a program through our campus ministry where we work a job in Myrtle Beach. We live in the Sea Mist, which is a hotel right on the Strip,
Yeah, I know where the Sea Mist is.
3 stars at most.
Yeah,
I
know
mean,
it.
what other hotel would let 120 college kids roam around and live there for the whole summer?
So, what is it that you're going to be doing down there?
So we'll be working jobs. We'll be doing some beach evangelism.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. Lots of Bible studies and just learning how to live in a community, a very close-knit community at that.
Okay, all right, that's cool. We'll come back to that. I'll come back to that.
I figured.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna come back to that. And y'all have a thing that y'all gonna do, but it's more like work. Y'all are working at the Boy Scouts camp and at Camp Bowers. Is that
Oh,
it?
yeah. Camp Bowers.
Camp Bowers.
Right outside of Fayetteville, Vietnam.
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 Oh, good old thing.
But
Home
so
of the Eastern Wild Mountain Panthers.
Oh, yeah, in Forest, Wales. That's where they roam.
okay. So Justin,
Yeah.
your college summer break looks like what? You're just working and doing this, right?
Yeah, I'm still working at the Cookie Co., so still delivering cookies 2 days a week. And then I also got a job with the university
Right.
for the next about 2 months, where I'm going to be doing a broadcast and film for the religion department.
Yeah.
And so really excited about that. Been working on that the past few days, so yeah. I'll probably starting in July is when I'll have a lot more free time,
Okay.
but yeah.
Well, we got a lot of work to do here.
Oh yeah.
So, back to Aaron. So, tell us more about beach evangelism.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Is it literally just people going up to people on the beach like, "Hey, have you heard about Jesus?"
No. Thank
Shut
God.
down.
No. So I've done something like this before, but we've had like water to give out to people just on the beach.
Oh, that's
Like,
awesome.
Hey, would you like some water? They usually say yes because it's hot, and then
Right.
usually ask them like, would you mind if I prayed for you, or do you have anything that you would like for me to pray for right now or later? Because some people don't like being prayed over.
Right.
Like, at the,
Yeah.
Which I can totally respect.
Right, it's a little uncomfortable
Yeah.
for some people.
Yeah, especially on the beach. Ugh.
Yeah.
You're like laying down and someone's like, gonna pray over you. No. But anyway.
That's interesting.
But anyway, this is gonna be more like just asking people, hey, do you have a few minutes? I'd like to share with you what I've been learning this summer. It's not like, do you know the Lord?
Okay.
Or like, not really
Gotcha.
track based or
Yeah,
anything like
yeah.
that. Just,
Where you have like a bullet points and you
Okay.
go through it.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. I like what you're doing there. So you're working jobs, just wherever. So where do you know where you're going to be working at?
Yes.
Oh,
Which
please.
I'm sure will be brought up again. I'll be working at Chick-fil-A.
Hey! Yes!
Why do I feel like that's
The Christian chicken.
Why do I feel like that's like stereotypical? Like,
Because it is.
what are some other places people work at?
Sonic. People are working at the Sonic we used to go to, actually.
Oh.
Okay.
Bananas.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you this question too while I got you. What is the point? Is the point of the job to make money, or is it like finding a way to build relationships in the jobs to evangelize there as well?
Basically both. Also to teach yourself how to steward your time and your money.
Okay.
So we'll be working 30 to 40 hours a week.
Which
and-
Chick-fil-A are you working at?
Surfside.
Oh, that's right by where I work at.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, please come visit me.
Nice.
That's gonna be nice. Yeah. That's crazy. Now, you guys will be at Boy Scout camp,
Oh yeah.
which is now we don't get to do this often. Just kind of talk personal stuff. We usually get into some
Yeah.
crazy stuff, which I got something really crazy I want to talk about here in a second. But
All right.
Boy Scout camp. Now, Robbie's given me many stories from Boy Scout camp because he was there as a Boy Scout, right?
Yeah.
And now you're there as a counselor or whatever you call yourself.
Yeah. I'll be the program director this year, so I'm like second in command.
Hey.
So I'm like
Fancy. Okay.
kind of running the camp now.
King
That's going to be... Yay, right? Yeah, right? So, what are you doing this year?
I'm going to be the archery director for the Scouts, which is super funny because when I got the job, I had never shot a bow and I had never been in Boy Scouts.
Right.
My certifications were basically that I had a beard and was 21.
So to be like a teacher, leader, counselor for the Boy Scouts, a prerequisite is a beard.
Be a man.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all you have to
And
do.
well, mostly they look for people that are over 18 to
Yeah.
run
Oh,
So
man.
to run the areas.
Not
right.
Because you have to be over 18 to do that.
Okay. All right.
Because we have a plethora of 16, 17, 15-year-olds that want to work summer
Nice
camp.
word, Rob.
Right.
But no one over 18 usually sticks around.
It's that college education coming
Yeah,
in.
man.
Plethora.
We actually-
I'm a senior now, so
I actually learned that word from Jessica, and I taught it to Robbie, I'm pretty sure.
plethora? I don't
Yeah.
think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. So, we've got beach campus
Beach
ministry
project.
beach project. Okay, and then we got Boy Scouts America, and Justin's just being a normal guy working this summer. Guess what I'm doing this summer? What I
Working.
do every summer. Work. I've been doing it for way too long now. Can somebody just go ahead and fund this project so I don't have to go to my day job anymore? I mean, if you got like a buttload of money sitting around, dude, I'm down to take the donation. Help us get our nonprofit. I'll give you a tax write-off. I know that sounded bad, but anyways. So there is something that caught my eye this week, and the reason I'm doing it is because Erin's here. Because she's into the social justice situations and human trafficking and things like this. So I'm going to, maybe I'll just summarize the story. So it's about North Korea.
Okay. Oh.
You may have heard about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I posted this on Facebook.
Did you post it? Because
Yeah, the exact article.
oh, so it was probably you're the reason. You're the reason I probably saw this. But anyways, it says North Korea turning to human trafficking for foreign currency. So let me give you a little overview. It says to generate new income, the North Korean government has engaged in state-sponsored trafficking of its citizens, sending them to work as forced laborers in other countries and confiscating all or most of their wages. I see it as just starting to get attention. It's an emergent issue on the international agenda, said Scott Snyder, senior fellow for Korea Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations. So basically, let me skip down a little bit. North Korea frequently ranked as the world's worst human rights abuser, has lured between 50,000 and 60,000 citizens to work in industries around the globe with the promise they would keep their wages. According to a paper from the Database Center for North Korea Human Rights presented on Tuesday, instead the wages are sent to the North Korean government. I can't read tonight. Generating as much as $2.3 billion per year. I don't know about y'all, but that's some strange stuff right there. You've got like 60,000 people. They were told, hey, we're going to send you overseas somewhere to work. We're going to send you out of the country to work. And you get to keep all your wages. But every dime that they are making goes right back to North Korea. And they're generating $2.3 billion off these people. Mm-hmm. I hate to say there's not a whole lot we can do about it unless somebody just goes in there and spanks them real good. You know, the old-fashioned way.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, let me ask you a question, Justin. What would you propose to do with North Korea?
So the line dropped, and so I was out for that entire section. So
really,
I don't even know. Yeah, but I joined back, so I'm good.
Oh my gosh, he dropped out. So basically, what we were talking about was the North Korean government. Did you hear any of it? None.
No.
Okay, so
I just heard about human trafficking.
Okay, so the North Korean government is basically sending about 50 to 60,000 people outside the country to work as laborers, right? And they're telling these people that they get all their wages, okay?
Right.
But they're not getting any of it. All of it goes back to North Korea, and North Korea is generating about $2.3 billion a year off this. So basically, and also that it's been noted that North Korea is the most human rights abuser in the world. Okay.
Oh, right.
So we know, we've heard enough stories from North Korea. I mean, you know, you can watch the news. I don't think a lot of things are over exaggerated about what's coming out of North Korea, what we see. You know, whereas we could see that from other places, but we have no interest in North Korea as America. Right. So there's going to be no media publicity or stunts about it like we would see out of Iraq or the Middle East, where we have some type of
have an agenda.
Yeah, we have a vested interest there, right? There's no vested interest in North Korea outside the fact that, you know, we've got some troops over there, and we got some citizens over there. Outside of that, we don't feel that North Korea poses a real threat, which that's kind of crazy to think when you have, I mean, literally it's a dark country. Nobody really knows what's going on over there. I don't know what's going on over there, but we do know some of these things that are coming out of it. And being this type of government, is there? I would say this, okay, and we're not trying to be political on this podcast at all, but
nonpartisan.
I feel like I say that every episode.
Well, no, but you know I'm not political about it. You know,
I know.
But we're about people, you know, and this is not about Republican, Democrat. It's not about, you know, what we can get out of it. You've got millions of people being abused and treated terribly in this country. Where, you know, like, you know, I think they said at one point there was, you remember when we was talking about how, like, there were 80 people that made half of the money in the world? Well, it's like in North Korea, nobody has money unless you're the government leaders. That's it. Everybody's in poverty. And they're pretty much treated badly. I don't know if y'all watched the movie The Interview. If you did, I know it's not a great movie like for Christians to watch, but it sheds a funny light on you know, what you think is going on over there. It's interesting.
There's some truth to it. I actually watched it Sunday.
I had to watch it because you know, it's like, are they just poking fun, just like, you know, regular old just jokes? Or are they trying to bring some type of truth out of it? And there's a lot of truth in that movie. If you do watch it, be warned. It's, you know, it's a James Franco and
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. I mean, so you know what's going to come out of that. But for me on this issue, do you think that there's a peaceful way to get North Korea to act like they're supposed to act?
Well, I'm a big advocate of public shame, especially in the international community. Even though North Korea is extremely corrupt, I feel like a lot of international pressure could be applied to the country. And I mean, they're not broadcasting this stuff. They're killing their people.
Yeah.
There are concentration camps
Right.
within North Korea. There are like 50 concentration camps within the country itself. But we only know this through research of nonprofits.
Right.
There's an organization called Liberty in North Korea that I brought to my Christian college campus twice this past year, and they've been doing some amazing work rescuing
Yeah.
people who have escaped North Korea, and they're trying to find work, because once they escape, they're even at a risk in North China, usually where they end up. They're at risk of being either sent back to North Korea, killed, or trafficked. So really, the North Korean people don't really have an advocate besides nonprofits, and I think nonprofits are the way to go in order to peacefully combat the North Korean regime. Because they're a totalitarian military regime. I don't think
Yeah.
if we apply military pressure,
Well,
I don't know if that would be the best.
Well, I think, well, we know what happens when military, when military gets involved in situations. But if you were to, and I may be speaking very out of turn here, but
All right.
and
I'm listening.
thank you, Justin. I'm glad you're listening. But being prior military and knowing what goes on a little bit, it just seems like as long as that leadership, that family's in power there, you're always going to have, and it's not just that. I think, the top generals, the guys who are in command there, as long as that is in place, it will forever be that way. So there's got to be either, a total cleansing, so to speak, at the top, or and I'm not like it's I'm not trying to
No,
advocate,
keep going, keep going. Just
kill
just get
everybody,
it out there.
but what do? You're not going to peacefully resolve this situation. They're not going to give up their power. They're not just going to freely hand it over and say, hey, we're wrong. We're sorry. Let us make amends for this. We want to be friends with everybody. That's naivety. That's wrong.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Erin was saying that the method that she was thinking was like public shaming. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I feel like if you do that, they're not going to be ashamed of it. Because if they're doing it, it's because they believe that it's the right thing to do, or they just don't care if it's the right or wrong thing to do, which is what I think it more so is. And so
they've been outed. They've tried things and they were outed by their own type of governmental complexes. China said, look, no, you're not going to do this. And you're talking about a communist country to a communist country. No, we're not going to support you in that. They don't care. They're closed off in their own little section of the world. And he's got it the way he wants it. And until that leadership changes, that's how it's going to be. And there's going to be millions and millions of people who are going to be consistently treated that way. They're not going to know any type of love. And that's what, I know that, a lot of people fight against religion and Christianity and all these things, saying how harmful it is. But in retrospect, there is nothing more detrimental to humans, the human race, than people like this. And they're all over the world. But nobody's bucking up against them. They let's pick an easier fight, somebody that we can get to bow down to us. Well, why don't we get all our efforts together and try to figure out something to stop that? Because, great, we're in America and this, that, and the other, but you got so many people around the world, not just in North Korea, but other places, being treated crappy. And there's got to be some way that we come together amidst religion and non-religion and everything, and say we can work together as humans, and we can sort out all our differences later. I think the first thing is just trying to save some people from the tyranny that's going on in these places. And honestly, where I see these efforts of like, hey, we're going to go into the Middle East and we're going to stop Saddam Hussein. Well, I know what happens in those places. I know there's alternate agendas of why we're doing it, but there was mass genocide going on there. When we went into Bosnia, the same thing. I was in Bosnia. I saw what mass grave sites look like. It's not... these things have to be stopped. And as a world, we can say, as the United Nations or whatever, we can come together as a conglomerate and stop these things. But there's always another agenda. There's always another condition on why we want to do it or be a part of it. Well, is there money involved for us? Is there something that we get something from this? And I think there's a place where we got to say the only thing that matters is, human lives.
Mm-hmm. And just to add to that, I think one of the main reasons why the U.S. hasn't done, some significant work against North Korea is that they don't have oil.
Oh, yeah.
We're not interested in human rights over, economic growth. You can go far back as the Civil War. It was about slavery. Yeah, well, I guarantee you it was more about the money that was not being transferred, and there was other agendas there other than just the slave issue. People can say what they want about history books, but when you go back and start looking at real histories of things, it's not what it seems to be. They use the nice things about human rights and human trafficking and all these things to get their pitch out there. But what's it on the backside? If human rights was a real issue for the United States or the United Nations or anything like that, we would have tried to done something about North Korea a long time ago. And it wasn't just the Korean War. There would have been more about it than that. So anyways, way to start off.
I like, just for the record, I like Alan's comment. How do you fix North Korea? Jesus. Bam! Jesus Jew.
Yep.
Very good, Justin. And just to let you know, there is a documentary on let's see.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Inside North Korea.
Inside North Korea. Yeah. Okay. So if you want to check that out, check it out. I will be checking that out this week on one of my drives.
I've actually seen it. It's pretty good.
Good. Justin, you weren't on last week. Before we go into our break and go into the meat and potatoes time,
yeah,
I did get to watch Jesus Camp.
Okay.
And Aaron's cringing over there. I was thoroughly impressed with the just the honest and open format that the documentary producers could get from this. I mean, it's
pretty neutral.
It was just like, you couldn't tell which way they were going with it, and I was like, wow, because the radio host, the DJ, where he seems to be a Christian, is somewhere out there in left field somewhere, just like, and then I don't even call our was it Becky or whatever her name, Becky?
Becky Taylor.
Woo. Do you know her personally?
Yes.
Gosh, it figures,
I've
Aaron.
seen her speak.
At Ramp,
wow.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, at Ramp. Okay.
Shout out to the Ramp.
Yeah.
Stay away from the Ramp.
Hope nobody from the Ramp is watching. It doesn't
They're
matter.
not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. They got other things to do.
Dance. That's
But so yeah, I watched Jesus Camp. That was a interesting. I'm glad I watched it. Have y'all seen it?
No, but I heard about it on the last episode that you guys were talking about it.
No.
Good.
Netflix.
Yeah,
It's
If you
on
wanna kill
Jessica
an
and
hour.
Annie's movie list now.
Oh my
okay.
gosh. Be prepared.
Yeah, it can get rough.
Yeah, and then I did watch. So for the Bible Told Me So as well.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
that was good. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that. If you're into trying to figure out the whole gay and lesbian issue with Christianity, if nothing else, it will help you ask a lot of questions that might not be so devastatingly mean and harsh to those who are, in that flux of I don't really know what I believe or why I should believe things that way.
Right.
And it some of it broke my heart. You know, a lot of it's because Christians are just mean people sometimes. You know, I mean, you know, just because you don't like what somebody's doing doesn't mean you have to be a butthole. So, you know, just. Yeah. I've got other words I'd like to say, but we're going to keep it clean tonight for Aaron's sake.
Sounds good.
I think that, I don't know, is anything else good going on in your lives? Is there anything you want to let people know since you're here with us, or let me know because I haven't seen you? Like, Aaron, I literally haven't seen you in like forever, it seems like.
Yeah. It's only been a month, though. Like a month and a half.
Has it?
Yeah.
Really? No.
You just miss me that much.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's weird when you're not around, you know, because since I had like all you guys in like youth ministry, it's weird to, you know, see y'all growing up as adults. It just lets me know I'm really getting old, guys and girls. You can see the gray just like killing me here. But anyways, we'll be back in a minute. Get to the meat and potatoes.
All right, sounds good.
No, I won't go. I won't go. I won't ever go. No, I won't go. I won't go. I won't ever go. Better run. I got my reason. You should know that more than anyone. No, I won't. No, I don't. No, I won't ever go.
So,
All right, guys and girls, we're back on the show, and that was Brick and Mortar. No, I Won't Go. Thanks for that suggestion there, Miles. I appreciate that.
Sweet.
Meat and potatoes times, man.
Oh yeah.
So, well, go ahead,
This
Justin.
week,
Yeah, go
it's
ahead,
going to be
Justin.
great because all four of us get to talk, and Keith finally gets to be quiet for a minute.
Do you think that's really going to happen?
No.
I hope so.
Look, Justin has all the opportunity in the world to talk.
Oh yes, finally, I can speak. But yeah, so this week is really I really like what we're gonna do this week since 4 out of the 5 of us are in college. We wanted to talk about kind of differences, and we kind of go to different types of universities. Like Robbie and Miles, they go to a private Christian college. And I guess, Aaron, you also go to a Christian college, but it's not as, like,
So they say.
labeled like a Christian
No.
college,
No.
and stuff like that. And then I go to a secular university. So, kind of talk about the differences and some things and experiences that we've had in college. And if I missed anything, go for it, Keith.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So who wants to start?
Well, let's do this. Let's just kind of start with, because Justin had a whole episode to talk about his college experience.
I did.
But
Episode 5, go listen to it.
Yeah, episode 5. Check it out. So what I'll do is just say, overall, y'all all went to a normal high school, so to speak.
everybody just
That's a good one, Keith.
So, but it was a secular high school. You didn't go to like a Christian school or anything.
No.
So, just in relations, what's it like going to a Christian college? I mean, I know you're Christian people, but going to a Christian college, what is that like for you?
Yeah, so like when I first started going to North Greenville, it was super weird because like they'd go out and play frisbee, and then it was like before you went to go play frisbee, it was like who wants to pray, and I was just like, what is this? Like it was just like a kind of like a culture shock to go from like nobody ever does anything like praying or
Right.
Christian wise in quotes, and then going to like a college where everyone's just like, all right, well let's pray before meals, let's pray and do this, let's talk about this, and it was just kind of like a weird thing. But then like you get comfortable in it after you've been there for a little bit, and like that's just how you expect things to be now.
Right.
And then you go out to other places in the world and you're just like, oh, forgot you guys don't do that. Like you see guys like smoking like
Yeah.
out in Greenville, and you're like, you're not allowed to do that, you're gonna get in trouble. Like, oh yeah, you're only not allowed to smoke on campus.
Right.
Like it takes a little bit to get adjusted to
Yeah.
that kind of style of living.
Yeah, one of the things that I found really weird is, like you were saying, how you get there and it's kind of a culture shock because going to BCC, nobody there is like super big about like being a Christian or anything like that, whether or not they are. We just kind of had our small little circle of Christians that we would talk about God and pray with or something like that. And then you go to this college where every single person is like, hey, let me pray for you.
Right.
What is it that you're going through or whatever? And so it was pretty cool at first.
Right.
And the thing that got kind of weird for me is that you're going throughout the week and everyone around you is a Christian and you're having to go to chapel every single day, or not every single day, every week, 2 times a week. Mm-hmm. And before every class they're praying and stuff like that, and you're like, wow, this is really neat that I'm going to like grow so much with God here.
Right.
But something that kind of started happening like as that went on and you get super comfortable with that, all of those like going to chapel and the prayers before classes, those kind of, or at least for me, kind of began to be more tedious. Like I got comfortable in it, and the I guess nuance, is that the correct word?
Yeah.
Of it, just like this new thing is just kind of gone. I'm just like, well, now I'm just kind of like waiting because this teacher says the exact same prayer every single day. Like I can legitimately say what he's going to say while he's praying.
Right.
So literally, it is kind
Yeah.
of mundane.
Yeah. And so as that kind of goes on, and I'm learning all of these, because I mean, me and Robbie are youth ministry majors at this college, so we're taking a bunch of like Christian college classes. Well, not even. Yeah, I don't know. That whole ordeal you were talking about an object not being able to be Christian.
Right,
But
right.
they're very Christian-oriented classes.
Yeah.
And so I'm learning all of this knowledge about God and how to interpret Scripture and things like that. But I'm surrounded by Christians. I was even taking a Principles of Evangelism class this semester.
Right.
And I'm learning all of these different techniques on evangelism, but I'm surrounded by Christians and don't actually get to use it. And so, for me to actually go out and evangelize, it has to be much more of a conscious effort of, okay, I'm going to head down to Greenville, like get away from the college campus to actually
Right.
be able to witness to someone
Right.
or talk with someone who at least isn't proclaiming to be a Christian.
Yeah.
And so that was what I found kind of weird. And it wasn't until I got plugged in with a church that I'm interning at that I really started being able to, I guess, apply those things that I've learned at school more,
Right.
rather than just kind of going through the motions.
Okay. So, Aaron, just want to make the comment that you go to technically a Christian college,
Yeah. Historically Baptist.
historically Baptist, but it's
Yes.
no longer being funded by the SBC any longer, is it?
Well, I'm a little confused by that because I can still apply for the NC Baptist Scholarship,
Yeah.
and the Cooperative Baptist
Yeah.
Fellowship has still got its little hand
Right.
in
Right.
there, but it's slowly.
Your experience at Wingate, is it as, I want to say, Christian as what we're hearing?
Intensely, purposefully Christian as
Yeah.
Robbie and Miles's.
No, not at all. The campus was a dry campus in like 2010 before I got there, but it definitely isn't now.
So you can drink on campus now.
Yes,
That's good.
sometimes.
We can't
That's
drink
good.
off campus.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I try to get Miles to have no, but Angie, you may kick him out if you find out.
Find out nothing. I do nothing against the NGU Enlightener. Thank you very much.
Oh no, I
The
believe that.
Enlightener.
Yeah, I would believe that. Miles is a rules follower. Have too much fun on this show. Anyways, so like nobody's out there running the streets in Wingate praying for people.
Running the streets.
No praying before classes, things like that.
No, not really.
No, not really.
I'd say about 70% of our professors are not Christians. Chapel was it wasn't even required, but there was an hour for chapel on
Right.
Thursdays at 11, but we took that out of our schedule 2 years ago.
Okay.
but it still wasn't really required.
So technically, Wingate's not a Christian college, but it technically is.
Yeah, yep.
It's in a
Exactly.
weird kind of
It's-
gray zone there.
Yeah.
We say historically Baptist
Right.
because, like Alan said, we're not funded by the SBC anymore.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
our motto is faith, knowledge, and service. So we still say that we uphold Judeo-Christian values,
Yeah.
but at the same time, that's not really marketed.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of Wingate, you just think of, it's a private school.
Private university.
Right.
Whereas, you know,
But like 20 years ago, for sure.
Yeah.
Private Baptist.
yeah.
But
Okay.
not so much anymore.
All right. So we got, and of course we know Justin goes to the
The liberal school.
The heathen pagan.
well, I was going to say
Pagan
like
worshiping.
Up in the
this week.
mountains.
This week is about the fifth best college in North Carolina, but but no, we love ASU. We love the
Oh.
Appalachian State
Go
University. Yeah, go Mountaineers.
Didn't we used to be the Mountaineers, Robbie?
No, the Moonshiners.
The Moonshiners.
The Moonshiners. What?
They're a god university.
Hey,
Yeah, it's a
moonshine.
dry campus, and yet you guys were the Moonshiners.
That stuff's illegal everywhere.
That's great.
Except in North Greenville.
So
Y'all were the Moonshiners, then y'all got saved.
And now we're the Crusaders.
Before you met
the
Jesus.
Crusaders.
Now we're on a
Now you're
mission.
gonna kill everyone.
I was getting ready to say, hold on. How are you going to go
Now you're
from
gonna
the-
kill everyone who's not Christian.
They're the Crusaders. That's just like
We did have some non-Christian applicants, but
you might as well be the fundamentalist.
I've actually heard talk that they're trying to change the Crusader,
Yeah.
our mascot from the Crusader, because like some of the professors are like, I can't wear my North Greenville stuff when I go on mission trips. Because
Yeah.
like if you go to the Middle East and you're wearing Crusader, like
Yeah.
people have like a negative.
Oh, absolutely.
a little negative.
Yeah, just,
Rightly
yeah,
so.
just a hair.
So-
Kill everybody who's not a Christian. You know, that kind of hinders your love speech.
Yeah, so,
hinders your
there's
witness.
just like a push for getting our.
Yeah.
I think there's a push for
Yeah.
that.
I like simple mascots. You know, Wildcats,
Bulldogs. Woo.
Blue Devils,
Bears.
No.
Blue Devils.
Blue Devils are of the devil.
It's got the best divinity school known to man, but anyways, Blue Devils. Justin, have you decided if you're going to go to Duke Divinity yet?
Not yet. I'm still gonna see because I want to go to graduate school eventually, but I don't know if it's gonna be Duke. I don't know if I'm gonna do an internship with RUF first or not.
Right.
There's just a lot on the table that I have to take
Okay.
into consideration.
Okay.
You should intern
But-
with Sammy Rhodes.
Oh yeah, one of my friends, shout out to Anna Howard, but she is interning at University of South Carolina, so she's going to be under Sammy.
So cool.
So I just saw him this past week.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you want a plethora of information, Robbie, just read our chat with Mr. Alan Murray. He is killing it tonight. Oh my goodness! And of course, he mentions Duke because Duke is the backbone of American education with the religious institutions. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, what you say? If you're a Tar Heel fan, none on the show tonight. That is awesome.
I'm a
You don't
Tar
count.
Heel.
No, that don't count. No, you can't do that to me. You can't come on here and take Keith Hughes' place.
I can't. I'm not Keith.
Guys, no Tar Heel fans. Ah, stinky school. Anyway, so let's move forward. So, Miles, now this is going to be the first part of this conversation. Is going to probably be very overtly Christian. So, for people who aren't a Christian that's listening to the podcast, you can ignore it, fast forward it, I don't care what you do, or you can just listen to what make Christians Christians, and hopefully it'll shed a little more light on the stigma that's been put out there, and hopefully we can erase some of that. But you used, when we were planning, you used a very Christian word. You know, you were declining in your walk.
Oh.
All right,
Yeah.
so to clarify for everybody who doesn't understand the Christianese term walk, is basically the way we live our life according to how kind of Jesus set it out and biblical values and things like that. You talked about being at a Christian college actually is starting to diminish that quote unquote walk. So you started to elaborate a little bit earlier. Okay. just give me a little bit more elaboration on exactly what that means in the best non-Christianese you can.
Okay. Basically, the way that I felt was that due to me being constantly surrounded by other Christians,
Okay.
or at least people claiming to be Christians who are just going through all of the motions, it gets you in a state of being really comfortable in where you stand. One of, I guess you could say for a Christian, one of the most dangerous things is getting comfortable, because then you start to not try and continue your pursuit of, I guess, trying to be close to God, if that makes sense. And so, sorry.
It's okay. We can do what we want. It's our podcast.
Yeah. Just read somebody's comment. But what I was trying to say was that when I started getting really comfortable, I realized that I was reading the Bible all the time for my classes,
Right.
but I wasn't reading the Bible on my own time.
Right.
And so one of the biggest ways that we as Christians feel like God communicates with us is through His Word.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I've already read all of these books for my classes, and I knew I couldn't justify. I knew that I was like, okay, that isn't an excuse for me not to read.
Right.
But at the same time, I took the excuse of, well, I already read so much today, and I learned so much about God today on a analytic level, I guess,
Right.
that I kind of pushed it off. And then it went from that to me no longer seeking, I guess, prayer time, which for Christians is, I mean, essentially it's like texting God. And I guess, I don't know, for someone who wouldn't, for someone who,
Talking to him.
well, yeah, it's like talking to him.
So,
Yo, what's up?
But
BRB.
yeah, it isn't something where I start talking to him and then he immediately is like, "Hey, bro, how you doing today?" But it's more of a one-way thing that I don't know. It's I wouldn't really know how to explain that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but it's something that I started pushing that back too, and I found, and when I took that Principles of Evangelism class, one of the things that really popped out in that class is that he was saying, what is the biggest evidence of having a good evangelism, being a good evangelist. Right. So going door to door and doing that, or however it is that you choose to evangelize. And he was like, how do you say this is actually working? Is it by the numbers that you're getting? Is it by how many people are actually listening to you, how many friends you're making, or whatever? And he said, no. The way that you tell that you're being a good evangelist is how that's affecting you as a Christian, is that as you evangelize, God just naturally becomes more centered in your life.
Okay.
And due to that, your walk will get stronger. And just when you're hanging around people, it becomes more of a natural thing that He just kind of comes up in conversation and just things like that. And so I realized that I felt like not being able to evangelize, even on a minuscule level of just hanging out with non-Christians and loving them, because I just don't get that opportunity that much, I saw as something really big that was kind of detrimental. And it wasn't until I got into that church where I was able to start hanging out with youth that are not nearly as, I guess, secure in their beliefs and stuff like that as my friends at college are.
Okay.
So,
what about you? Do you feel that's the same kind of path that you're on as well there at NGU? Being in that place where it's so surrounding with other Christians that it's kind of declining you, or do you find it to be different, Robbie?
I kind of find it the same. Just that you can learn, you'll get more knowledge of God, but your relationship, my relationship has ended up declining from that. But I feel like I know a lot more.
Right.
And I could say all the right things, but the relationship part is kind of withered away. And it wasn't until I started my internship at the church is when they kind of bring me back in, because I think it's just more of just getting plugged in somewhere.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it's easy in North Greenville just to, like, you have a bunch of friends who live there, and so, like, oh, just come to me with this church, come to me to this church, and so you're just kind of church hopping.
Right.
Because you're not really going to attend this church
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that really helped me out, was just getting plugged in somewhere.
Okay.
Consistent.
What about you, Aaron? Do you have that issue at Wingate?
No, because there's not really anyone telling you, like, you have to do this, you have to go
Right.
to chapel, you have to be plugged in at a church.
So it's left up to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Besides my Christian friends, I don't have
Right.
a sense of I have to go to church or I have to read scripture. So really, I think going to like a private university
Right.
has really challenged me to look deeply into my faith and look at why I believe, because there are some people you were talking about. If there were anyone at Wingate who ran down the streets and shouted John 3:16 at them, there are some people,
Yeah.
like some random people that do that. And I've had the pleasure of talking to them. That should be
Oh, hey.
a whole nother hour of this, but not tonight.
Yeah.
Because
We'll get to that. I'm sure we'll get you back on. We'll do that.
I got stories of that too. So
Yeah, I'm sure
yeah.
you do.
and especially being in classes where most of the professors don't believe, so you really have to figure out what you believe and why you believe it. But also you have, I'm really blessed with a strong Christian community at school, but I also have my share of friends who aren't believers, and then people who are more seeking, people who are interested in Christianity but
Yeah.
not believers themselves, and they
Right.
know that.
Right. Well, I want to make a point, Justin.
yeah,
And you can probably add into it as well.
Okay.
And of course, I could ask you the same question, but I already know the answer you're going to give me because you're definitely not
oh,
around.
are you sure?
Justin, did your walk decline because of the nature of your Christianity at your college?
I wouldn't say that it was the nature of the Christianity at college. It was just personally.
Okay.
There are a lot of different things. I think kind of what Aaron was saying, that like it's kind of left up to you,
Yeah.
whether you want to get plugged in and whether you want to get involved. Because most people that you go to school with aren't Christian or probably nominally Christian. And so you have to kind of make the effort to go out and to find those communities and to get plugged in. But I think I got really, really plugged into some good places early on my freshman year. And so I think that's really, really helped me stay grounded, because there's a lot of times after classes and stuff where I'm just like, what the heck do I even believe? But just because it's kind of a different approach to studying religion. And so I think having those places where I was really, really grounded, in my local church, really helped me get through those.
Okay. So let me see if we can correlate this to people who may be listening who don't go to college. And we do a lot of talking to the quote unquote Christian audience and those who are
Yeah.
in churches and things like that. We do a lot of talking about that. What I want people to hear is when they hear Robbie and Miles talk about, they're always around it. They're not around anything different. There's, it's almost like habit, second nature. It's like breathing. Church is there, praying's there, reading your Bible. There's all this almost routine nature of it. Which, don't get me wrong, people, having a routine's good, but there's got to be something that's a variable in your routine. And I think another question I'm going to ask you, but is the fact that, do you think that one of the reasons, and it may be very obvious, is the fact that the Christian to non-Christian ratio is so one-sided, especially at NGU? Is that one of the big reasons too that you feel like you may have that decline in how you think you should be living?
Yeah, I mean, specifically for me, that was something that I found really, really clear, especially after taking that
Right.
evangelism, or the principles of evangelism class. That just Yeah, I mean, I kind of said it all earlier.
Right.
It was just that not being around
Mm-hmm.
people who weren't Christians, I felt like played a big part.
Real quick, your college size is about what?
I think 2000.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
What about you, Aaron?
It's about,
About the same?
Yeah,
So-
2,200.
If I say, give me a ratio, like, out of 100, Christian to non-Christian.
Like proclaiming Christians, or
Yeah.
out of 100,
I'd say
95.
yeah, I'd say around 90.
So 95 to 5. So, wow, that's
Yeah, I would
95% of you.
Probably even on the higher end of that.
Yeah,
Okay, what about you, Aaron? What do you think?
Proclaiming, maybe like 75%.
Okay. Hey, Justin, what about you?
Maybe about 35
Yeah.
at the most.
But you have, 17,000, 18,000 people at ASU?
It's anywhere from 14 to 17,000 depends
Okay.
on the year.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think that for North Greenville, when you apply, you actually have to write in your testimony of becoming a Christian. I could be wrong for that, but I feel like
So
I had
is
to do
is
that.
it a condition, do you think?
I think that was for being an RA.
No, it was before then. I mean, I know I had to do it for that too.
Oh,
Did-
It could have been just because I was a Christian studies major, though. It could have been
Okay.
like
Yeah,
a
it might have
special
been
thing
one
for
of-
that.
Okay. But is it a requirement at NGU to be a Christian?
No.
no.
Okay.
They kind of look at their sports program as a ministry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is that the sports teams all have to go to another chapel on Fridays, like early in the morning too.
Oh, okay.
And so they bring in a sports guy, so they'll bring in some former NFL player
Yeah.
to come speak to them,
Okay.
and then
That's also because they have games on Sunday, so they don't get to go to church, ironically.
Oh, okay. Who has games on Sunday?
I don't know, I think it was the football team or the baseball team. I don't know. I mean, this is a different division school, though.
Yeah.
But
our games are
D2.
still on Thursdays. Football games are still Thursdays.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know they do something on
Thursdays
Sundays.
and Saturdays.
I know the golf team leaves.
Yeah.
Oh, it may have been that they have to travel,
Oh,
and
okay.
so that's why they're not there. But I know that smaller tier things, I was on the ultimate frisbee team.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to do anything on Sundays,
Right.
but the other teams were out on Sundays.
All right. So we see that there's So I want to point this back to normal people. Well, not normal people. People in churches. So what you hear is that if you feel like you're not really doing something, like you feel like you're just going through the motions, it's probably because you're just living inside your little holy huddle. You're inside your church bubble. You go to church on Sundays. You go to church on Wednesdays. The only people you ever hang out with is quote unquote Christians. Everybody has the same beliefs. Everybody's doing the same thing. You're really not, I used to ask people, how many non-Christian friends do you have? They're like, oh, nobody really. And I'm like, well, how does that work for you? How can you live life as a Christian, the Jesus Christian way, and not have anybody you're talking to who are non-Christians, and you're not hanging out with them, you're not doing anything with them.
Right.
It's kind of weird to me. I think I've always had at least one person in my life who wasn't a Christian, and not because I just need one. It's just because I don't have a lot of friends. I'm hard to
You're an
like.
atheist, let's be friends.
Yeah. Hey. Do you know Jesus? No. Hey, you're my friend now. And you're my
become best friends.
and you're my friend until you firmly reject Jesus, and then I'm no longer your friend. I got to take a moment. I got to take a moment of silence. Well, it's really not going to be silence. It's going to be me talking. But
Yeah.
no, you know what, Justin? Remind me of this point after the meat and potatoes, because I do have something I want to talk about.
Okay. You guys got it.
Yeah, don't let me forget about that. But anyways, back to our Christian kids here. It's weird not having a non-Christian on the show, but anyways, we'll get
I've
to
been
that later.
enjoying, what's his name,
Skylar?
Skylar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
enjoying his perspective.
we'll speak about Scholar here shortly. So, Justin,
Yeah.
you talked about when you were, being up there at App, you would get it because of some of the clubs you were in. You would have some debate, and publicized debates about, between Christians and non-Christians, and that was, I can understand that, right? Because sometimes y'all,
For
because,
the debates. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, but y'all did that on purpose. It wasn't like you're in class and then you just break out into arguments, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That never happened.
My question is I heard a lot from you two. Now, Aaron, I don't know about Wingate and how it works there, but with NGU, dealing with the Calvinist side of things, the Reformed theology side of things. I hear a lot
Oh,
of.
boy.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Here we go.
We can't get through a podcast without mentioning.
Seriously.
Yeah, for real. But do you think y'all talk about a lot of the debates that go on out there, and I don't know how heavy it gets, but is there a detraction from being a Christian with the amount of theological debates that happens? And I call it infighting, basically. But do you feel that's a part that's something that you see a lot there, or you don't see a lot there?
I'll let you go first, Robbie.
I personally don't see a lot of it there, but that's also because I don't try and involve myself into that kind of debate. I'm not going to go out and say stuff to people, or people say stuff kind of like that. I'm just like, okay, that's cool. Like, you do you. But I do know that they had to tell the professors to quit, like, pushing their side of the view on all the students, because it ended up in heavy debates in the classrooms and stuff like that.
So there was like literal debates from the professor to the students.
Yeah.
Kind of just
It
ranting,
was-
going off his own tangent on like what he thinks is right, and just
Yeah,
That sort of thing?
or like he would be teaching on some epistle, and then he would say this, and then someone would be like, I don't agree with that, I think it should be this. And then it turns into a debate in
and then the
classroom.
professor argued that. See, that to me is a bit ridiculous, and that's probably just coming from my perspective of the secular university, where like I don't know, that just rubs me really the wrong way.
So it kind of reminds me of just that movie God's Not Dead, except instead of being a secular school with an atheist professor, it's
Yeah,
just,
it's Christians doing it
Yeah.
between themselves.
yeah. And I think for some reason I feel that happens more in Christian colleges than it does in, we'll call them
It
secular
literally
colleges.
never happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Justin, have you had an argument with an atheist professor yet?
No.
If you do,
making
turn
sure.
it into a chain email.
Yeah, and not only that, then write a book, and then get it published, and then we'll have a movie from it, and hey, we'll have money,
And then you can get your license.
because you can sell anything to a Christian, literally.
Yeah.
Listen to some of the music out
But
there.
I think these kind of things were before I got there. So this is just kind of stuff that I've heard through
Right.
the grapevine.
Okay.
So I don't know if this is exactly how it went down.
Right.
But this is how I'm assuming it went down for
Okay.
this to be like a rule.
So, do y'all have a lot of debates with people? Now, Robbie, I'm probably not you, but Miles, because Miles is the debater.
Yeah.
He's got to get the mic. Well, let me tell you what I've done.
Yeah. I'm a slightly more debater than Robbie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Slightly.
We
I don't
all
think Robbie
know.
debates at all.
We're all in a youth group together. We all know the truth.
No, like, I mean, to be honest, I've, especially with, like, when it comes to, like, the Calvinism and whatever other side you happen to fall on kind of debates, I've really made it a point to try and back away from those. Like, I'll still have those as discussions, but, like, the professor that Robbie was talking about, we had him in the same class.
Right.
And it would get pretty bad. And so, and it was just like kind of me saying, hey, I mean, I feel like this would happen. And it wasn't like me like trying to cause like whatever, but he's just like, well, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't one of those verses that is that like, I
Right,
guess,
right.
black and white
Okay.
kind of thing. And then he would like jump up, and Robbie did make a good point in that he was saying that he could just be equally trying to show his viewpoint, not in the sake of, well, you're a stupid Christian because you're not a Calvinist,
Right.
which is kind of the feel that I got from it. But he was saying that just whenever there's something that you feel really strongly about and you defend that, sometimes it could just come across that way.
Right.
But I also go to a Reformed Bible study on Tuesday nights, and then I go to a Reformed like book study on Sundays with the same group of people. And so there, like, we'll talk about our differences in like Calvinism or whatever our different
Right.
viewpoints are, and it isn't aggressive at all. We
Okay.
we view our things and or we voice our opinions, and then we just kind of move on if we can't get on
Right.
fair ground. But it's
Okay.
still really, I guess, friendly in that sense.
Well, I think that's healthy, though.
Yeah.
Justin, I'm sure you would
Yeah.
agree with that, right?
Yeah, I definitely think so. as long as you can like come together, because I mean I'm involved in a lot of different Bible like kind of groups that discuss theology and stuff like that. I mean, I used to be president, I'm no longer president of Defense for Faith here on campus, but yeah, as long as you can get together and discuss these things, but have kind of an open hands about it, not clenching everything with such tight fists and being like, hey, this is what I believe, but I'm open to different perspectives and I'm willing to listen and not be super, super dogmatic about what I believe. So,
You know what I think about that, Justin? That you're not president
What?
anymore.
that's me, man.
Hey, I'm going to go back a couple episodes to when we had Peyton Jones on.
Oh, yeah.
And you remember I was talking about him and Pete and the relationship they have?
Yeah.
I feel we have the same, just enough respect and disrespect for each other.
Right.
All right. Anyways,
I agree.
but yeah, I think it's great that you can formulate an opinion and share it, and because everything's not black and white when it comes to theology.
Only
You know
a
that.
Sith deals in absolutes.
Guess who's That's right. And I am.
I guess it's that time of the podcast.
It is. Speaking of that time of the podcast, but let me finish that statement. But being able to to debate, I don't want to even call it debate, just to be able to share each other's opinions, and I think that's a lot, Justin, what we feel here, to share our opinions and say, hey, we can still get along, we can still be human beings, we can have a relationship with each other, and and get on about our day. But for me, it feels like now. Of course, you said it's no longer happening with the professors like that. But Aaron, does things like that happen down at Wingate?
Sometimes.
Oh, tell me sometimes. Tell me what it's saying. I want to hear all about it.
What do you want? Like with the professors or
Give me something
amongst
juicy.
students?
That's
Oh, that's not. It's not that time yet.
That's my job.
It's not that time yet. Well, yeah, I would rather hear about the professor side of it because I think that's more pragmatic to that leadership style coming down and trying to indoctrinate somebody into something that's not
Right.
particularly who they are.
Yeah. So most of the religious studies professors are not believers.
Okay.
Same here.
So sometimes students will try to convert
Oh, so
their
it's
professors.
it's opposite.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah.
Wow, really?
But it's crazy because you're 18 years old, you're a freshman, and you're trying to tell
debate a
someone with
person
a
who has a
doctorate
doctorate.
in religious studies that they're wrong, and that
Do you, and for the part that we talk about the Christian stigma that's in, especially in America today, do you think that's a product of that for these 18-year-olds, or do you think that's the indoctrination that's happened to them and giving them this air of superiority and arrogance that they can go and tell somebody who is schooled and learned way beyond their years? Do you think that's something that's what we're dealing with because that's what they've seen, or is that just? Let me rephrase that question. Do you think it's a product of indoctrination, or just a product of their environment of what they've seen?
I have an answer.
well,
Okay, you can answer after Aaron.
Maybe
She's
a
the
little-
guest.
maybe a little bit of both. I have a professor who I'm pretty close with, Dr. Pratt, if you're listening. Hey.
Shout out to the doctor.
Yeah. He is very much a philosopher in how he teaches. He asks a ton of questions, and sometimes, like, he's an English professor, and we have a global histories class that everyone has to take at
Right.
Wingate, and it's offered usually sophomore year, like people take it usually sophomore year, and he'll ask some really hard questions about Job because that's a part of the World Lit class.
Yeah.
And people will leave his class saying, like, I can't believe you challenged my beliefs.
Oh wow.
It's like, you don't even, like, how,
You don't even go here.
like, you don't profess Christianity any other time except when your professor just said, well, what
Exactly.
is suffering?
Yeah.
Why does God allow suffering?
Yeah. I see that in before Justin answers. I see that with almost every church type of person. Like, you're doing your own thing, you're not really doing something. But if somebody says, you know, I don't know about the whole gay marriage thing, or I don't know about, you know, if Genesis is really a literal, you know, thing, people flip out, and now they're super Christian, and they know
Yeah.
all of theology,
They know everything.
and they quote everything they heard Francis Chan and John Piper and somebody else said, more than likely, you know, Billy Graham, what they've said,
Mm-hmm.
and they have no concept if that's true or not, or what that really holds in you know, if it holds up for their camp or not. But the rest of the time, they could give 2 cents about what, you know, what their Christianity does for somebody else. Only when, like you said, they're challenged.
Because these are the same people who party on the weekends and
Woohoo!
yeah, it just boggles my mind because these people are they're just threatened by what they've known
Right.
their whole lives,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
in college. Isn't that this is a time where you kind of weed out, like, okay, who am I?
Yeah,
What
right.
do I believe?
I feel that, you know, and just from a youth studies point of studying adolescence and adolescent studies or whatever you want to call it, because the adolescence era has been extended to so long. I think that's one of our problems because, you know, 20, 30, 40 years ago, you know, guys and girls who were entering college, you know, they were already identified who they were. They were going to college for a certain thing. Their life, you know, because adolescence was ending at 18, 19 years old. It wasn't being extended to 24 years old where, you know, the guys and girls of this generation have, you know, they haven't matured to the point where they know who they are. So I think that's one of the big problems now in college and why we have such issues is because kids are still trying to figure out who they are. And they're challenging everything because they want to form their own identity, but they're not forming it from the standpoint of knowing who they were as they were being raised as a child. They're trying to figure it as an adult, and it doesn't work like that.
And I think that's an important point. I think that a lot of college students, when they go to college, that's the first time they've not been under their parents.
Yeah.
That's the first time that they've become quote unquote independent, even though they probably still rely on mom and dad for tuition and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the first time they're kind of on their own and are surrounded by people who think and believe differently. And a lot of people aren't prepared for that. And so, like, the blog post that I wrote a few months ago on this, people get defensive when you challenge their faith because that's an inherent part of who you are. You take your faith as very I mean, a lot of people take their faith as a very central part of their identity. And so when that's attacked, they feel like they're personally attacked, and walls go up,
Right.
and we tend to get defensive and feel like we have to defend this because if this idea, and I have to defend this idea, I have to defend this faith in order for me to be legitimized in the
Right.
eyes of everyone else around me, and in order for me to I guess have this sort of rightness, or, you know, they don't want to be wrong. And
Yeah.
so I think that's where it comes from. And also this stigma that's around college is that, like, knowledge is somehow bad. That a lot of, like, Christian communities will be like, oh, you know, well, you lose your faith in college, or you'll be challenged. You know, you gotta go to a private school where Jesus is taught. You know, and I think that's a very negative way of looking at it, because as Christians, if we believe that knowledge comes from God, if we are made in the image of God, and the Word was God, like the Logos, you know, and
Right.
that you know, the truth comes from Christ and from God, then why should we be afraid of chasing it? You know, we should look for truth no matter where it may be found.
Right.
And so so I think a lot of it is a kind of defense mechanism, and due to fear and anxiety about one's own personal identity. So
For sure.
Yeah, it's for me. It's interesting because, you know, 20 years. Let's see, what I'm 40. So 22 years ago, when I graduated college. Holy crap! It's been a long time. But when I graduated college, graduated high school. Let's not make me older than I am. Jeez.
I was like,
Yeah, I
that
know.
long
Yeah,
ago.
it wasn't that long ago. But when I graduated high school, you know, the guys and girls that I graduated with now, you know, some of you know some of the people I went to high school with. You know, y'all saw them in church, but we all kind of had a direction in our life. You know, when we were graduating high school, we were meant to be adults. You know, we were either going to work, we were going to school, or like me, I went to the military. You know, and we all had this direction in our life. And, you know, and I know there were some who stayed at home with mom and dad, you know, but it was very rare that you saw, you know, an 18-year-old graduating high school and like kind of really just sticking around. Now, there were some who did, but, you know, I think it was more of the situation that their parents were in, the economic situation they may have been in, so they had to do certain things. But even still at that point, you saw this transition from being a child to being an adult. And because we were raised to be that way, because, you know, for me, you know, like Justin was saying, it's the first time, you know, when that college experience is the first time somebody's being on their own. I felt like I was on my own, you know, from the time I was 15, because most of us worked. Like, I think every kid I knew basically worked a job somewhere. We all worked somewhere, it was a lot different back in, you know, the early 90s when jobs were a little bit more available to kids as it was to everybody. You know, we all had that ability to work. We weren't like struggling to find work. So we had those experiences when we graduated. But now, as like I said, there's that shift in adolescence where, you know, kids, you know, full maturity to an adult for an adolescent now, you're looking at 24 to 28 years old. You know, that's crazy. And you can tell it by, you know, what the average age of being married is, like 28, 29, 30 years old now. Where in my day it was like, you know, for anywhere from like 21 to 25. It shows you how times are changing. And either we catch up and figure out what's going on so we can make it work, or we keep falling back and then letting things just kind of spiral out of control. Because I mean, you know, this millennial generation is scary to me. I'm like, these are the future leaders of our country, of our schools, of our, you know, religious institutions, so to speak, whatever. And it's scary sometimes to see the way it's going, because a lot of it is lackadaisical. It's like, we'll just, you know, whatever comes. There's no real planning behind it. I know there's a few out there that are not like that, but overall, what I see, it's, you know, everybody's on Instagram and Twitter, and, you know, they could care less what's really going on in front of them. You know, it's scary like that. And I think that's that process. And we're not on topic at all, but I think it's okay. Speaking of not on topic, let me just give a shout out to a couple of our viewers, Jessica and Annie, who both agreed that you do not have to be a Christian to go to NGU, and I got the ha in there at the end, and also that you know, Jessica said that applying to some scholarships, she would have to write her testimony, but basically because they were Christian type of scholarships. But thanks for that clarification.
So do you want to answer Hope's question?
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask that question.
Okay, cool.
Hope asked a question to the college students. So Justin, you're a part of that category.
Yay!
There's two parts to the question, so anybody can answer it in how you want. But what has been your experience in sharing the gospel in college, and how has it been received? Let's ask the very Christian college people first, since it's going to be a very short answer. So go for it.
Yep. I don't really get that many opportunities to share the gospel. Like, every once in a while, I'll like I guess more so than sharing the gospel, I would be like sharing encouragement. So like with Christian friends who might seem to be, I guess, throwing in another Christianese word, stumbling in their walk. So basically, like I was saying, how I felt like I was like not being able to, or I just wasn't on. Oh gosh, man, I'm horrible with the Christianese.
It's okay. We can explain whatever we need to explain to the rest of our audience. Go ahead.
Like subtitles underneath what he's saying.
Yeah. So basically, if I feel like I'm not in line with the path that I feel like I'm supposed to be having with God, like with my relationship with Him, when I have friends that are also going through that, I can come along beside them and kind of like talk with them, and I guess like share like verses in Scripture or different like past experiences and things, where mostly in Scripture would be the only time that I'm really sharing the gospel with someone while I'm at college, because pretty much everyone there is already a Christian that I'm actually able to talk with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Everybody there, either if they haven't heard the gospel, then they go to chapel 2 times a week, which is every week is listen to the Bible. This is what the Bible's got to say, or it'll say something. Sometimes there's some really good speakers, and I really enjoy those.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
And I was just going to say that we have had, like, at the chapels, occasionally we do have people receive the gospel there.
Alright.
So it isn't where, like, and necessarily how many of those are, I guess, real is questionable. But there's definitely, like, times where we'll have speakers come in and people will be convicted and they will, I guess, receive the gospel. So if that answers
Okay.
your question, it is still
Alright.
happening.
but
Alright.
mostly at college, just working through the internship has been where usually you speaking the gospel to people who don't actually know what they're talking about
Right.
or what you're talking about.
Right.
Other than
Okay.
that, it's pretty much you're just discipling other people
Yeah.
or being discipled.
Okay. What about you, Aaron? How you feel about that?
My experience sharing the gospel has varied quite a bit because even though Wingate is historically Baptist,
Yeah.
and the majority of the people, I mean my hand motions.
It's okay. People are watching. It's good.
I use hand motions all the time, so no worries.
It's because we're more intelligent. I'm just kidding.
Ooh. Shots fired.
It's all right. I'm more
it's-
intelligent because I'm operating everything over here.
Yeah,
And doing hand motions.
yeah,
and doing
yeah,
and doing it.
yeah. You're orchestrating everything. So. Well, at one of our campus ministries, here I go again. Usually every other week, a student shares their testimony. So I've done that. So that's definitely like the least personal way I've shared the gospel. But also, like this past semester, I was in a Bible study with someone who did not believe, and they
Yeah.
knew they didn't believe, but they wanted to be in the Bible study anyway. So
That's interesting. That's cool.
yeah, so I got to share the gospel with her like multiple times because
Right.
she was just trying to figure out what does it mean to be righteous? What does it mean to be
But it was more like topical shares. It wasn't like, you're not a Christian and I got to give you Jesus.
not necessarily because she was very honest with me and she
Yeah.
knew that she wasn't a Christian.
Yeah.
But those topical things would turn into a gospel conversation.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's more like you
Yeah.
have a relationship with her. You're not
Yeah.
like, there's a non-Christian here in our Bible study.
Yeah.
We must formulate
Boop,
the track
boop,
plan.
boop. Yeah. Convert. And then just random stuff in between, like people who hang around
Yeah.
the campus ministry people but aren't really Christians, and
Right. Did she ever give you? I mean, it's not like she was giving you the.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Anyways, sorry about that. Justin wasn't here last week, and I was so busy doing everything else, I didn't get to give any real sound effects. In the episode with Peyton Jones, we didn't do any, so I'm making up for him tonight. But yeah, it's interesting that you say that because it's like I think and I use general terms, and me and Justin do this a lot. I think
Yeah.
we make general statements. And it's not if the shoe doesn't fit, you don't have to wear it. You know what I'm saying? But if the shoe fits, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, well, is this me? I think a lot of people try to take these opportunities in like Bible studies or church meetings or these evangelistic outreaches or whatever's going on. And they're like, well, I know they're not a Christian. You're not a Christian. So we're going to, everybody get the tracts out. Do you know all your rebuttal questions? It's like
Yeah.
a telemarketer's thing. Like I've worked a couple jobs earlier in my life doing telemarketing. They give you this script, right? And then they got this whole section that's called rebuttals. And it's like every time if somebody gives you like, well, I don't have you have a line to come back on. And I feel that's how Christians are. You've got all these things that you got the rebuttal statement book. If they say this, you say this. If they say this, you say this. And it's never something that's intentional with the relationship. It's not intentional about the person in general. Like that's when you said what you said about sharing the gospel through they were topical ideas that turned into gospel sharings because she was sharing and being honest, open with you, and you were giving back to her, and it just kind of pointed, it kind of all pointed to Jesus. Now I know a lot of people out there who really don't care about Jesus, and they would assume that religion would just die and off and go away. But I think that being able to share in that sense, it takes us to another level where we can love differently. you know, and I know a lot of people don't see that, and they wonder why Christians do what we do, but at the very center point of all of it, it's about us loving somebody else so much that we want them to know what we know. And not just because we think we're right, but because we think we know this great love. And that's what we want to share with them. Not sharing with them, we don't, you know, you're going to hell. And, you know, that's not what I'm trying to share with somebody. You know, I just want to share with them this love that I know. And why I know this love, I don't know. I'm going to give you some reasons why I know this love, but it just comes to that. It's not about condemning somebody or trying to break somebody's condemnation, because, you know, for us, Christ did that. It's not, we're not breaking it. But anyways, I'm sorry. Get off. Justin. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, I had a few other things.
Go ahead.
So we have like a prayer and praise thing on Sunday nights at one of my friends' apartments where we pray for the campus and then sing a few songs. And the guy whose apartment we do it in, like, not all the people in the apartment are Christians, so they see us there, and it's almost like, not necessarily we're projecting Christ with our life, because the gospel is shared in words, but they do see that. They do see that we are that we are coming together in prayer and worship together. And one of the guys who lives there is in a lot of my history classes.
Right.
And being a history major, honestly, if I wasn't a Christian, I was a history major, I'd be so depressed all the time. Like,
I know what you mean.
I'm just a Calvinist. I believe in total depravity, and history is a like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So just being able to see them and for them to know that I believe in something, because most of the history majors do not believe in anything.
Okay.
And
That's
then
interesting.
I have a friend who, well, I don't know, associate, who is a polytheist. She believes in Norse theology for her.
Nice.
We would all call it something else, but I think she calls it mythology. She does, which is interesting. But she has an altar at her house. And she's extremely, extremely hostile toward Christianity, but she's allowed me into her life, and she's shared a lot with me. Like, I don't know what you would have to say to get me, like, riled up and offended, because I really don't think that exists anymore.
Right.
But being able to speak with her, because I don't know how to share, like, I'm not trying to share the gospel with her because she knows the gospel.
Right. Well,
She has her set beliefs,
yeah.
but just, like, she also knows what I believe, and we've talked about what I believe, and just being there for her because she doesn't have a car, so I've opened,
Yeah.
my resources up to her, like, hey, if you need a ride somewhere, I'll take you wherever. Hey, if you need food or something, like, I'll do whatever. I feel like that's the best way to reach her.
I want to make a statement that Norse theology, so it's like Odin,
Yes,
Thor.
Thor.
That I don't want to say that's cool, but it is, because I just finished up season 2 of Vikings, and I'm like, is it not the great? I'm like, but the funny thing about the show is that there is this direct correlation with Christianity and their gods. I mean, it is in the center of the clash. I mean, it's crazy how it works, and I can see how she would have that mentality to be very hostile towards Christianity, because that's a very hostile. And we can call it a theology, because
exactly.
it is about gods. So, but it's because that's a hostile type of group of people, and it's crazy that plays out. But for me, and I'm just going to say in the show, how there's this mixing of, there's a person and a person on each side, and they're trying to find the medium between the two and have this relationship with each other as friends, very close friends. You know what I'm saying? To make that work. And it's kind of cool that you're saying that, because you're trying to have this middle ground where you have a relationship with her and she's having a relationship with you, And guess what? It's based off resources, just like in the movie as well, or not the movie, but the show as well. So it's just interesting to me because I caught that.
Out of curiosity, and I mean, I'm not necessarily trying to make a joke with this, but what would her view with like the Avengers be? How it has Thor? Would she see that as like almost like a crack at her religion?
I think she's seen the Avengers, so I think she's cool with it.
Okay, I
don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously not canon.
Yeah.
It's like, but I think she's okay with the Avengers as a movie.
Well, I just wasn't sure if she would like if it would.
If it would offend her or something, like they're making a mockery of
Like
Yeah.
Christians feel upset when like Jesus
Oh,
Christ
yeah.
Superstar came out, or
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Right.
Oh my gosh, how can you know what? Leave it alone. If you know it's not the truth, then don't
Yeah.
get It's, and forgive me. I remember one time I was in school and somebody called my mom a whore, right? And I was like, at first I was very upset, and I was and when I was little, I wasn't the fighting kid. I was the bullied kid, so I didn't know how to deal with that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And so a teacher told me, it's like, look, is it the truth? And I'm like, no. She goes, then don't get pissed off about it. Don't be upset about it. If it's not the truth, then it doesn't matter. Only when the truth comes does it matter. So just a point of view. So, and of course, her truth to that is that it's not the truth. So then shouldn't really shouldn't
she
matter.
doesn't.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question, Justin. I'm going to get you in on this question too, real quick.
All right.
All right. So we talk about, we really don't share the gospel with certain people because they know the gospel, right? Because they've heard it. My question is, and I'm just going to be, is it funny that I'm going to say the devil's advocate here? But, can, just because somebody, if you tell the person the gospel, right? Or they say,
Right.
I know the gospel, I've read the Bible. Do they really know what the gospel is? I mean, can they pick out the finer points of it? Or does somebody have to come along and tell them, like Erin, you say she knows it because she's heard it from you or from somebody else, or is it something she learned on her own? Because I think about people like this. I know what the gospel is. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do they really know what the gospel is? And it's not because I want to force it on you, but I want you to know that even though you may know something, is it the truth that I know that what is the gospel? But just because you've heard it, like I'm saying, there's a Christian stigma out there, so they all think this one way. But are they thinking of it or know it truly what it really is?
Well, with her specifically, the reason why I said that is because I don't think we're at that level in our friendship where
Okay.
I could
I
could
yeah.
share the gospel with her. She was raised in a more conservative environment, and I'm sure she had, she had the church.
There's a Christian background to her,
Yeah.
though. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a church background of some sort. But usually, I mean, so many people think that they know, but it's just what people have projected to them, or like just a part of it. Like, Jesus died for your sins. That's not fully the gospel. Because who's
Yeah.
Jesus?
Yeah,
Why
no.
do sins matter?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
if you don't address those two things, what's the point? If you don't say, like, God created man is, this is the totally short version.
Yeah.
Man is in need of a savior.
Yeah.
Jesus is that savior to save you from yourself.
Right.
If you leave any part of that out, who cares?
Yeah. Man, this is the only thing I hate about podcasting is that you only have so much time to do it. And,
Yep.
and, man, we're going to have to transition here, and I hate that because Justin, I was getting
Okay.
ready to ask you the same question.
No.
And but I think these are points that we can pick up again. At a later point, because there were a couple of things I wanted to hit back at Miles and Robbie, but I want to ask this last question before we move on. Does being like at NGU now? I know I would know the answer from you, Erin, because of what we've discussed about Wingate so far. But does being at NGU feel like you're living in a church? Like, you've been to churches, been to conservative churches. Does it feel like you're like in the forever church right now?
I don't necessarily feel like I'm in a church. I know that the first week that me and Robbie were there, we felt like we were at church camp. Because, like, we get there and everyone's like acting like a quote unquote super Christian, and there's like all these activities where we're all like going and playing tag, and we're all going and doing those different things. And I had never actually gone to, or I went to a Christian camp once, but I don't even really remember it. But Robbie said that it was like a Christian camp, and I could totally vision that being what that would feel like.
Okay.
But I don't necessarily feel like I'm in a church
Right.
building per se.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like I'm in a church, but you can definitely feel like it's being run by a church, or like you're living in like a pastor's house kind of thing.
Okay.
Let's say more like that, just because there's so many rules that you have to follow, like, and you know, there's a curfew, but
Yeah.
no one enforces the curfew. But I guess you could get in trouble for it if someone really wanted to. But I mean, other than that, you're just kind of like hanging out at a smaller college,
All right.
and so
Cool. Well, that answered that last question for me. We'll be back in a minute. That was Meat and Potatoes, people. Hey, guys and girls, welcome back. That was Wolves at the Gate with the new CD reprise, the acoustic session, and that was Relief with Toby Morrell. That
Nice.
is awesome. Awesome. Ah, man,
Yep.
I'll tell you how awesome it is. That's all I've listened to all day is that 6-song EP. Like, legit, just that's all that's played in my head. Man, there were some things we started to talk about in the Meat and Potatoes that I couldn't talk about because I didn't want to distract too much from what
The
we were
main
talking
topic.
about. Yeah, and it's hard because there's so many things that come up, and you want, because we're just talking. That's what we do on the show. We're just kind of really talking. We're not, this is not the Serial podcast that, which if you've listened to the Serial podcast, excellent. But it's
It's
not like
so good.
It is so good. But it's not like that. We're not like NPR. We're not, we're not a sermon podcast where we got, we got to make the alliteration and the 3 points and the P's and the, getting all that going. But we're just having conversation, which is fun for me because I don't get to have a lot of conversation about some of these topics with too many people outside of my wife. I mean, my wife, yeah, we talk about it a good bit, but outside of that, not so often. Especially when you work in an environment that I work in. It's not bad. It just is. But anyways, moving forward, we were talking about Scholar, and man, every time I start to speak about it, I get a little choked up. But
Oh,
it's not funny, dude. It's not funny, man. It hurts me.
it was Justin's reaction. So.
Oh, yeah. Justin's reactions are hilarious. Thanks, Justin. No,
well, I mean, I'm sad too.
I know.
So, I mean, do you want me to say it?
no.
So,
Yeah, go
I mean,
ahead.
he's alive and well, so don't
Yeah,
worry.
no, yeah, he's
people are
good.
listening.
Yeah.
But he did move back to Iowa.
Yeah.
I believe he got a job. Is that what the reason was?
Yeah.
Shit him in, Aaron.
Yeah, he got a job back up in Des Moines at a recording studio, and so he's headed back up there. He's driving. He was driving yesterday. He may still be driving. Hopefully, he's home, safe and sound. I haven't heard from him yet, but he will still be on the podcast with us. He's going to call in and
Oh,
be.
nice.
No, he's. Let me. I'll basically he got me because he's like, man, he kind of told me, he's like, you don't know how much it means to meet you guys and the love that y'all shown us. And it was tough, man, because I felt like I was losing like a family member, and he was here with us I mean, not that long, but it was. I mean, but he made a definite impact on our lives here, and we all loved him. And it's not like he's gone, and he'll be
Right.
back. But it's tough because when people move on and do different things, you feel that. And this is my thing for Forgetting Walls. Hey, guys and girls, he wasn't a Christian. He was a proclaimed Buddhist, and dude, he was great and awesome, and he loved us, and we loved him. And
He loves us. We love him. He's not dead.
yeah.
He still is a proclaiming Buddhist.
Yeah, where people would be like, oh, did he get saved? Before he left, and I was like, no, because I think I asked him one time, you want to be a Christian scholar? And he's like, nope. I was like, okay.
It's only because I wasn't on the last podcast. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Justin missed.
Irresistible grace.
Justin missed his opportunity to convert Scholar. Oh, that was just. So, Justin,
Yes.
do you know what time it is?
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
It's time to get juicy with Justin's Juicy Bits.
All right.
And we will never forget Scholar. No matter what we do on this podcast, we will never.
All right. So let's get this thing started because we're already headed a little bit long. So I'll try to keep these short. So the first thing I have in my little segment here, I have Aspen Man hires stuffed owl as his defense attorney.
What?
It's exactly what you think. Defending yourself in a court case is rarely recommended, but appointing a stuffed owl as your lawyer is really bird-brained. Nevertheless, that's who or what Charles Abbott brought as his attorney when he appeared in an Aspen, Colorado courtroom on Tuesday, in Associated Press reports. The article goes on, and so essentially what this dude does is, he basically goes into the courtroom, puts a stuffed owl on the defense attorney desk, and said that and told the judge that the owl named Solomon would be his legal counsel until a public defender was
Nice
assigned.
choice. Very wise.
Quote, he's a very sensitive guy and has law degrees from Yale, Harvard, and Stanford, Abbott told the
can't
judge,
deal with
according to the
this.
paper. I think he'll be able to represent me before a public defender comes online. The judge ignored the owl, who had little to say during the proceedings, but asked Stranahan if he'd amend the court case to allow mediation. Stranahan declined, saying he didn't feel safe being in close proximity to Abbott. So the hearing ended with the order still in place. However, Abbott is allowed to attend the same church, provided he doesn't initiate contact. So basically, it was like a restraining order sort of thing.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, the owl had no comment. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Hope just said Hedwig can represent me any day in court.
Very nice.
I just,
And so I'm pretty sure, I want to believe this is a very sarcastic thing, that the dude wasn't really appointed a lawyer, and so he got frustrated and brought a stuffed owl to it, and was like, this guy will represent my case until someone appoints me a defendant, or a defending judge, or a defending
What a
lawyer.
troll.
I don't understand people.
No.
What else you got, man? That
All right.
that was interesting, but I don't know. I just think the level of intelligence for people in today's world is
Scary.
people are de-evolving. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Well, the next story is definitely gonna. Well, not the next one. The last one I'll definitely relates to the de-evolving theory. But before that, so I've been trying a lot of new drinks recently since I turned 21 last year, and one of my favorite drinks is the gin and tonic. And so this article was really interesting to me. So for $300, you can drink gin made from the bodies of foraged ants.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Back that up.
Yep.
Rewind.
So,
Spit it out.
Basically, Anti-Gin, a new brand of liquor produced in the UK, is using insects to help flavor the spirit. The most striking feature of the gin is its inclusion of foraged red wood ants from forest in Kent, England. These ants fire acid into the air when threatened in nature, which some people have said smells, quote, a bit like salt and vinegar, according to the Telegraph. Anti-Gin thought it could harness these unique aromas to create a, quote, distinctive flavor. So basically, I think that's pretty interesting. I don't know if I would drink it, though. So every purchase comes with a 50 milliliter bottle of, quote, pure wood ant distillate to give an untarnished taste to the aromatic creatures.
Oh my gosh, man, have we run out of ideas that this is what we're coming to?
You mean just as, like, society?
Yeah, I mean, just
Yeah.
I mean, fire ants.
Yep.
I'm going. Those things hurt.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have no words.
So would you drink it?
No. Okay.
I don't know.
I don't
It might
know.
be interesting. I don't know if I'd pay $300 for it, but I think...
Well, okay, yeah, I'm not
$300?
drinking it.
Yeah, it's $300.
Oh.
Yeah, nope.
It's
That's
gin and
ridiculous.
tonic.
Yep, only 99 bottles of the liquor will be produced.
Well, good. Only 99.
Each
Only
containing
one
the
of them
essence
will
of
be
about
sold.
62 wood ants.
I'm gonna have to pass on gin and tonic.
Alan says you can put some fire ants in pine sol and get the same effect.
Yep.
It'll be cheaper too.
Yeah.
And good point. If you're allergic to ants, that would be terrible.
Yeah, don't drink that drink if you're allergic to them. Okay, Justin.
All right, now for the ultimate de-evolution sort of thing, did you get the link I sent you?
I saw the link. I
Okay.
didn't look at it, but I saw the link.
So I saw this video, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, and I think it's a beautiful video. The fifth grader in me rejoiced. So basically, okay, this, quote, fart symphony is the sound of brotherly love. So some people might think that his music stinks, but for something the composer, quote, pulled out of his butt, the fart symphony is downright beautiful. So basically, this dude, he recorded a fart, and it just sounds like a normal fart. And then he like slows it down and replays it, and it turns out it's like the 7th scale arpeggio in B flat with a trill at the end.
Oh, I gotta see this.
And then he puts like flute music and stuff to it.
You ready for this?
So that's the normal recording. And then he slows it down. This is what it sounds like on flute. Oh, no. Wrong one. There we go. And so he puts the two together.
I fear my best work is behind me.
You're welcome. Are you crying?
I think he is.
It was so beautiful.
I broke Keith. I broke
That was the
Keith.
funniest part. Watching Keith laugh. He's still going.
Yes, but don't end the show. You know this.
Anyway,
Sorry, I just rode right on top of Justin. Oh,
that
Justin.
was a good thing to end the show with.
Justin, that was great. And saying all
That
that.
was something.
That was
enlightening.
Oh. Okay, everybody.
So this is why aliens don't visit us.
Saying all that, I'm Keith Wilson.
I'm Justin.
I'm Miles.
I'm Robbie.
I'm Aaron,
And
and Keith is broken.
I am so broken. Somebody please pray for me.
I want you to pray for you.
You know, it just reminds me that
Man, what are we, a team? No. We're a chemical mixture that makes chaos. We're a time bomb.
You had to find some way to put that one in.
Hey, everybody, just remember, people are not projects. They're people just like you and me. So love them like you love yourself.
And your farts.
Farts and all.
Hearts and all, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Forgetting Walls podcast. If you're subscribing to us on iTunes, leave us a rating to help us spread the word about this podcast. Remember, the only way this works is if you share your story. So be sure to visit the website and leave us a comment at forgettingwalls.com, or find us on Twitter at forgettingwalls and facebook.com/forgettingwalls.
Peace!
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
That's a wrap.